Hello, people. Welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show, and it's time for another Leeds United update on the latest Leeds United news on the Just Joe Football Show. Before we get into the video, I just want to put out there, maths are not my strong point. And yesterday, when I did a video on Mothering Sunday, I said we were about 18 people off 10k. Then realized we were like 218 people off, so you can clearly see maths is not my strong point. However, thanks to that plea for people to subscribe, we're now actually only about 80 people away from the initial figure. So again, maths not my strong point. I must have gained about 100 and odd since in that last 24 hours. So big shout out to everyone that did that. So I'm going to ask again. Maybe we can get to the magic 10k number, and then I'll shut up about it then till I get close to 11k. Now, but on a level, thank you so much for the support. It's always appreciated. So like the video, get your comments in, notification bell, and as I say, subscribe to the channel. Right, so it is game week, which is really, really good to know. I get to go to Ellen Road. We play Southampton on Saturday, and hopefully a couple more wins, and we will mathematically be safe. I believe we're all right. You know, I'm ever the optimist. There'll be still some there that'll be looking over the shoulder, and that is fine as well. You know what I mean? That is fine. But the reason for this video, as I say, I've got two updates for you. First of all, you'd have seen the news, of course, that Patrick Bamford is going to be sidelined for the next 6 weeks at a minimum. It's very highly likely that we won't see Bamford for the rest of the season. It turns out Patrick Bamford has basically been playing with a plantar fascia injury. Again, I'm not a mathematician. I'm definitely not a physio or a man of medicine, but it's an injury to the foot. And he's been carrying this injury for the last 12 months. And despite treatment and a prolonged period of rehabilitation, the injury has progressed from a partial tear to a full rupture. Yeah. So they're now going to need to, or he's going to need to spend some time on the sideline, 6 weeks minimum. That's what Rob Price is telling us. However, it's highly likely that he's probably not going to see the end of the season. I think even 6 weeks takes us up to like a couple of games, if that. So we probably won't see Bamford. I mean, imagine this scenario. Leeds United were to get relegated. You might never see Patrick Bamford in a Leeds United shirt again. Wow, imagine that. No Patrick, no Rafa, no KP, all in a Garner if we were to get relegated. I don't think I could cope. But listen, we're not getting relegated, so you don't need to worry about that. But, then people that are glass half empty will be thinking, oh, no, Joe, I'm never going to see Bamford again. But no, believe me, it will be okay. What I do want to talk about, though, is what we're finding since Bielsa has left. And I'm sorry for those that get so annoyed when I start talking about Bielsa. They're literally, I've lost a subscriber. A guy said to me, you have lost a subscriber because you never stop talking about Bielsa. And he's never been good enough and never was good enough to be a Premier League manager. That's what he told me. I said, don't worry about it. I forget his name. I'm sorry. But I said, don't worry about it. Football's not for you if you ever thought Bielsa wasn't of a level. Because we finished 9th with Bielsa in charge, which shows you that he was of a level. But yeah, I digress. But the point I'm trying to make is there was so much leveled at Bielsa, in terms of the small squad. We now know that Victor Orta is going to carry on with that. So, okay, Matt got it from Bielsa, but the club's still going to go in that direction. And Bielsa used to get battered for that. Maybe wrongly now, right? I feel a little bit like Victor Orta, Angus Kinnear and that sort of took the piss a bit because Bielsa was never, ever the guy to sit in a press conference and say, the club are not doing this, the club are not doing that. And I think they played on that a little bit, knowing that he wouldn't do that because there's that coming out, and he never called them out. I don't think he was ever properly backed, you could say. Maybe that's a little bit harsh because they did get in Dan James. I'm not sure if that's right, Joe. I'm just thinking out loud. But the point I'm trying to make is that Bamford has been playing with this injury, and the club have been aware of that. The club have evidently been aware that he's been carrying this injury now for 12 months and have failed to dip in the market for a striker. Now, Bielsa could have easily sat in a press conference and said, Bamford's done. He's been carrying an injury for the last 12 months. we need a striker. But he's not that guy, he's not that guy in the club. I guess have been very negligent in that part. So again, that's another thing that's sort of like devoid Bielsa of any blame in that respect. People will say, well, Bielsa beasted him in training and, he was brought back too soon or whatever. But listen, Jesse Marsh's press conference, his initial press conference was statement along the lines of, there has been a cycle, this is verbatim, there has been a cycle when guys have been playing with injuries and picked up more injuries. I need to help guys recover as quickly as possible and not endanger them and overload them. Bamford's played minutes when he shouldn't have. I know we needed him, and Bielsa sort of did say he wasn't ready, and then obviously Jesse comes in, and then Bamford's on the grass, and we're all like, "Oh, this obviously was never actually injured." And Jesse says we were going to manage them correctly and all that sort of stuff. And then guess what? He plays, he gets injured, and it's gone from a tear to a full rupture, and now Bamford's done. So yeah, it's a bit of a sad state of affairs that Bamford's in that situation. You can see now why he was upset and why he was crying at the Wolves game, because he probably knew himself deep down inside. They know their own bodies. I'm done. This is me, and that's why Cooper, etc. They'll be aware of what's gone on with his injury, and they'll have put their arms around him. And that's the situation. On a positive note, though, we now know that or we're told from the club again. I mean, they've obviously kept a lot from us, so we don't know if it's genuine. But Bamford, Rafinha, Llorente, Cooper, they're all going to be good for the weekend. Even Meslier as well. Let me throw that in as well for those that are worrying about Meslier. Meslier is yet to train, but should be good for the weekend. Listen, I know Klaassen came on and did okay against Wolves. Made some good saves you would expect him to make, I may add. But I don't want to see him starting. I'm sorry, it's just where my head's at with that. I don't want to see him starting. So hopefully Meslier is good as well, and we'll have an almost fully fit squad on Saturday to take out Southampton. And calling it now, I think we beat them. I do. I think we beat them at the weekend. They're on the beach. We're not. They're on that run. Ralph goes on a losing run, then a winning run, a losing run. They're on that losing run now. But anyway, we'll talk about that in my preview. Let's move it over to some transfer speculation, some transfer news. The Oracle of Leeds United news, Mr. Philip Hay, has been doing his mailbag. He was asked the question about RB Salzburg, centre attacking cam, midfielder, whatever you call them, wide cams, whatever you want to call them, Brendan Aronson, and was asked the question by a guy named Rory, saying, look, have we been keeping in contact with Salzburg about Brendan Aronson, or will we reopen communication with them in the summer, provided we stay up, of course? And Phil said the intention is, or certainly was, to bid again for Brendan Aronson. He's interested in the move. He's played under Jesse Marsh before, and Salzburg are likely to be more open to bids in the summer than they were in January. Just before we move it on a little bit, I just want to add something in there as well, because there's been a lot of people, especially with the Rafinha stuff, mentioning tapping up, saying it's not happening, etc. Do you think when Leeds United were speaking to Jesse Marsh behind Bielsa's back, they weren't speaking to him about Brendan Aronson and the fact that he played for him before, and they hadn't spoke to Brendan Aronson directly? They probably said to Brendan Aronson, listen, come the new season, Jesse Marsh is going to be our manager as well. And he's probably gone, oh, really? Yeah, man. I used to work with him. I worked with him at Salzburg, man. Let's make this deal happen. So it does go on, you know what I mean? And that's what will have been going on there. You know what I mean? So I just want to put that out there as well. But anyway, I digress. I do that a lot. So Phil then mentioned a young lad by the name of James Garner. Don't know much about him. He is a Manchester United midfielder who's currently on loan at Nottingham Forest in the Championship, going really, really well under Steve Cooper. But he's been having a really, really good year in the Championship. And Phil here has heard his name mentioned a lot recently, and it looks like Leeds United are in the market for a midfielder. Of course, we know that. We need that. We've been after a midfielder for season after season. Michael Cuisance, of course, you've got my boy Conor Gallagher as well, who's smashing it. I keep getting reminded by Palace fans anyway that did he make the right decision coming to Palace, Joe? Well, yeah, clearly he did because he's playing for England now. You've got Lewis O'Brien. There's been a number of midfielders we've been linked with and failed to get. But it looks like we're on to a new target now in James Garner, Manchester United on loan at Nottingham Forest. Initially played as a centre-back, I believe, in the youth system until about 15 and then transitioned into midfield. Spent some time on loan at Watford in season 2021, but when Cisco Muniz came in, was then, wasn't needed and sent back to Manchester United, at which point, obviously, Nottingham Forest took him. He scored a goal against Derby County in the league meeting against them, which is always going to go down well with Nottingham Forest fans. Obviously, the rivalry there between them and Fat Frank's Derby County. And then at the end of that season, he returned back to Manchester United, but impressed that much. Obviously, not ready to make the grade at Manchester United, and was sent back on loan to Nottingham Forest and has been there ever since. He's been touted for great things. As I say, he's 21-year-old and has scored 3 goals and has 6 assists in the total of 36 matches across all competitions for Nottingham Forest this season. Of course, there's not 100% confirmed interest yet, but there is a certain validity to it when Phil Hayes starts to speak about it. And if he's hearing noises that Leeds United are obviously looking at James Garner, who's on loan at Nottingham Forest. So one to keep your eyes on, guys. Now, I reached out to a couple of Nottingham Forest supporting friends in the community. And look, they've said he's come on leaps and bounds from that initial loan period he had with them, and has started to sort of dictate the tempo of games now. And looks a very, very tidy player and someone they would like to keep hold of. And look, if Nottingham Forest can do that great thing of coming up, then maybe they may just do that. And listen, Nottingham Forest are a massive, massive club as well. And just a little side note, I'd like to see them back in the Premier League for sure. It does seem to be very much in the Lewis Bate kind of mould in terms of similar levels of where they're at. And I guess that would sort of coincide with Leeds United's model in terms of bringing in young players and being able to attract them from other, not just other, we're talking top 6 clubs like a Lewis Bate. For him to make that move from Chelsea to Leeds is huge. And for a young guy like James, he's a Scouser, I believe, by trade anyway. So there's not that Manchester vibe. Of course, he plays with Manchester United, but James Garner is an actual Scouser, born in Birkenhead, I believe. And if he was to pick Leeds United, it's a real coup. Of course it is, from what's been reported and what's been said about him. But as I say, do we need to stockpile a player when we have Lewis Bate knocking on the door? I'm not sure. Does he fit into the under-23s? I don't see it personally. There's been a lot less number of under-23s training with the first team since Jesse Marsh came in. It's certainly not the same as it was under Bielsa. He wants to keep the ones that are knocking on the door closest to him, i.e. the likes of Bate, Gelhardt, Greenwood, Somerville, etc. A lot of them are an arm's length now, so you can't see Garner agreeing to come to Leeds United to then slot into the under-23s, not when he's playing first-team football in the Championship and doing well and pulling up trees. His next move's going to be to a Premier League club, you would imagine. So I just don't know if it'll work, because ultimately, guys, let's be right. Leeds United need ready-made midfielder. We need, to be honest, in my opinion, we need ready-made players. Like 100%. Of course, we have to take gambles, but like a gamble like Fairport just missed. You know what I mean? And we can't rely on young kids all the time. And as much as there's a lot said about James Garner, I'm not sure it's the right deal for Leeds United at this time. I'm just not sure. But as I say, the Oracle Phil Hayes been mentioning it. It's one to keep your eyes on. And to look out for, that Leeds United are in the hunt for a midfielder, which we know we will be, of course, but I'd much prefer us to go out and spend it on, I don't know, just a name out of the head. We've been linked with Naithy and Nandes so many times, and, a Mateus Cunha or a Rodrigo de Paul, them sort of like, upper echelon of player. We need ready-made, of course. That might be a little bit of a pipe dream for where we are. But yeah, I just don't know if James Garner will be the answer or is needed at this specific time. But guys, Let me know what you think. Thank you as always for watching the Just Joe Football Show. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know so in the comments. Like it. And please do subscribe to the channel. So close to 10K. And enjoy the rest of your day. I'm off to do some graph now. Peace out. Leeds, Leeds, Leeds.